The night I saw my daughter-in-law, Laura, hurl a suitcase into the dark waters of the lake behind our Bristol home, my breath caught in my throat. It was late, the moon barely a sliver, casting shadows on the rippling surface. I stood frozen behind a tree, my heart pounding, as the splash echoed and Laura hurried away, her face pale but determined. I wanted to call out, to demand why, but something colder than the night air stopped me. What was she hiding, and why did it feel like my son, Mark, was part of it? Our story began 10 years ago in Bristol. I'm Margaret, a retired librarian, 62, widowed, living in a quiet cottage by the lake. My son, Mark, was my world. Kind, steady, a teacher who loved history. My late husband, Peter, and I raised him to value family, honesty. When Mark met Laura at a school event, I was thrilled. She was bright, a nurse with a warm smile, and they seemed perfect together. I welcomed her like a daughter, cooking Sunday roasts, sharing stories by the fire. When they married, I gave them space but stayed close, helping with their new home nearby. Laura was sweet, calling me Mom, asking for my recipes. Mark glowed, and I felt our family was complete. They tried for a baby, but after a miscarriage, Laura's smile dimmed. I ached for her, offering tea and talks, but she pulled back, saying she needed time. Mark said, "She's strong, Mom. She'll be okay." I believed him. Things shifted slowly. Laura grew distant, spending hours alone, her phone always buzzing. I need Mark tense, working late, avoiding my questions. I'd visit, but their house felt different, less warm, more like a stage. Once I overheard Laura on the phone, her voice sharp. "It's handled. Don't call again." I brushed it off, thinking it was work stress, but unease settled in. I started noticing odd things. Laura would leave abruptly, saying she had night shifts, but I'd see her car parked near the lake, not the hospital. Mark brushed it off. "She's just clearing her head, Mom." But his eyes didn't meet mine. I sacrificed so much for him, my savings for his education, my time after Peter died. I trusted him, but doubt crept in like damp. One evening, I found a photo in their guest room, an old picture of Laura with a man I didn't know, both smiling, his arm around her. It was tucked in a drawer, like a secret. I asked Mark about it. "Just a friend," he said, too quickly. My stomach knotted. Was Laura hiding something? Was Mark covering for her? The tension built. At a family dinner, Laura barely spoke, her eyes darting to her phone. Mark was quiet, picking at his food. I tried to lighten the mood, talking about Tom, my grandson, due any day. Laura forced a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. That night, I couldn't sleep, my mind racing. What was wrong with my family? Then came that night by the lake. I'd gone for a walk, unable to shake my worry, when I saw Laura's car. She stepped out, dragging a small suitcase, her movements quick. She glanced around, then threw it into the water, the splash loud in the silence. She drove off, and I stood there, heart racing. What was in that suitcase? Why the lake? I couldn't let it go. The next morning, I borrowed a neighbor's small boat and rowed out, my hands shaking as I searched the shallow water. The lake was murky, but I spotted the suitcase, half sunk in the mud. I hauled it up, its weight heavy with water and secrets. Back on shore, I opened it, my breath hitching. Inside were clothes, men's clothes, a wallet with no ID, and a locket with Laura's photo. My blood froze. Whose were these? Was this the man from the photo? I confronted Mark that evening. "What's Laura hiding?" I asked. showing him the locket. His face paled. "Mom, leave it alone," he said, his voice tight. "You don't understand." I pressed. "Whose clothes are these, Mark? What's going on?" He looked away, silent, and I felt betrayed. My son, my honest boy, was keeping secrets. Days later, Laura went into labor. I stayed at the hospital, holding her hand, but my mind was on that suitcase. Tom was born, perfect and tiny, and for a moment we were just a family. But the weight of my discovery lingered. I couldn't stay quiet. At their house, I sat Laura down. "I saw you at the lake," I said, my voice calm but firm. "What was in that suitcase?" She froze, then broke down, tears streaming. "It was my brother's," she whispered. "He died last year. Drugs, debt. I was ashamed." She explained he'd been trouble, dragging her into his mess even after she married Mark. The suitcase held his things, kept hidden from Mark to protect him. She threw it away to let go, to start fresh for Tom. I listened, stunned. "Why didn't you tell us?" I asked. She sobbed. "I thought you'd judge me, Mom. I wanted to be perfect for you." Mark joined us, admitting he knew, but promised Laura he'd stay quiet. "We didn't want you to worry," he said. My heart softened, but it hurt. They'd shut me out. I took time to process it. Laura's shame, Mark's silence, they weren't betrayal, just fear. I'd sacrificed so much for Mark, but I realized family means carrying each other's burdens, not hiding them. I hugged Laura, promising to listen, not judge. We agreed to be open for Tom's sake. Months later, we were healing. I'd watch Tom, Laura would share stories about her brother, and Mark opened up more. The lake, once a place of secrets, became where we'd walk, talking honestly. I learned family isn't perfect. It's messy, but it's love. To anyone carrying a secret, know this: hiding hurts more than sharing. Let your family in, even when it's hard. Truth can mend what silence breaks.